Welcome to First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast. I'm your host, James Gardner, certified athletic therapist, certified strength and conditioning specialist, yoga instructor, human being. This platform, for the pros, by the pros, anybody in the performance space, and beyond. Welcome here to share in the stories of professionals, experiences, journeys, learning along the way. It's a platform to connect, to network, and to be a part of a community that cares, with conversations that matter, experiences that resonate, and generate ideas, thought-provoking, organic dialogue, passionate pros. Brought to you as always by First Star Therapy, Mobility Tape, Epic, and Benchmark Athletics. In association with the Canadian Athletic Therapists Association. It's First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being a part of it.
All right, here we go again. We've wrapped up all of the formalities. We're now into the informal sessions. Hopefully you can hear in the background the final break has begun. The Irish music has begun, but we're not done. We're here to talk with Tyrone Cassius, an expert in his own right, lots of expertise in topics, many and plentiful. Tyrone, thank you for carving in some time. I know it's been a long day.
Yes.
Introduce yourself to our audience, to the rest of the world.
Cool. No, thanks, James. First of all, yeah, it's a pleasure to just share an insight into what I've done and to be a part of the WFAT conference has been great. So I'm Tyrone Cassius, sports therapist and one of the directors of the Society of Sports Therapists. So I'm based in London, in the UK. So do private practice, work a lot in football, also teach at college level and universities as well. So do a lot in the industry as well. And yeah, I was brought in to talk about embracing structural humility as well, and understanding how we can really change the industry from a cultural perspective, but dissecting kind of how we do that, where we need to start. So in terms of the structural side of things, looking at the history, so where systems have been in place in various countries, nations, institutes, the policies, what needs to be changed. One, just to enhance the healthcare industry from our side of things, so as practitioners and professionals, but also then how that translates to the experience of the patients and clients that we're working with as well. And it's just about being aware of all the different things. And I think it's really been apparent in this conference. There's been a lot of discussion about cultural competence, bias, and kind of interculturality as well. So how different cultures work together to enhance healthcare. So it was very important for me to come and share kind of my experiences with. I've been in this industry for too long. We're looking at kind of 15 years now. We're coming into it, and I've seen a lot in my time, and just to share the changes that have been made in that I've seen since I was studying to now, but also the things that are still there that also need to change as well. So so it was nice to come down and present and meet, different nations and see what they do. So from Canada to South America to what we do in our own backyard, the rest of Europe as well, and what culture looks like in a healthcare setting, what they're doing as a nation, what they have implemented, what they find challenging, and then just kind of discussing those. And I think the main thing is just about provoking those discussions, whether they're difficult to have, but to see that kind of change start to happen, whether that's small or it's massive.
Yeah, not a small undertaking, not a small topic.
Of course not.
It probably takes 15 more years, 15 years as you've been in, and on and on and on. Change is Change is universal. Change is accepted. Change is encouraged. If you're to evaluate or capture change, what does change look like? What does it sound like? What does it play like in this space, in your experience?
I think one of the main things for me is, it sounds obvious, but I think the race is probably one of the big ones for me. So seeing that, how different races interact with each other, and what that looks like from behind the scenes. So as a client, as a practitioner, the environment that you work in on a daily basis, what that looks like for you, and how you navigate through that, because that can be, for me, I remember growing up, there wasn't a lot of people that looked like me in the profession. So navigating that was kind of new territory, and you're kind of finding yourself in what can be a foreign place. So that was not say a big challenge, but an eye opener going into the industry. And again, I'm talking, this is 2013, around that time. So things have changed. There's still, I think, a lot more that needs to be done. And that's just one avenue, one aspect. And I feel like my role is to kind of be that role model and that advocate for that type of change. Especially kind of in the UK, and sports therapy is seen as still a relatively new profession, as in terms of medical side. We're kind of 30 years in terms of a profession. So that's not many people would be aware of what sports therapists do compared to possibly other professions. So we're already kind of fighting that battle, and then adding in various other aspects of, again, race, gender, sexual orientation, privilege, like socioeconomic status, all those other ways people identify themselves can have a massive setback. I think one of the things that I spoke about in our workshop was this idea of privilege and power, and where that has a massive effect, and the kind of positionality that people find themselves in. So again, and that can have many different caveats to it. So age or religion, or again, I mentioned sexual orientation, social status, even language that you speak, culture, and how that can be linked with how much power you perceive to have, or you feel like you have. And again, that's another discussion, but I think that's something that can start to provoke those thoughts and those discussions to take place. So I think that's probably one of the big things for me, is knowing my position, kind of what makes me me, and how I can impose that or implement that into my work, say, on a daily basis.
No, excellent. And it brings a number of thoughts and a number of hours and years that we could talk on.
Of course.
From perspective and thought-provoking, obviously, and on a bit of a different level, in this space where a lot of this is ATL and skills and manual skills and or research that's driven within the industry. The sociocultural pieces are everywhere, right? In human function, not just in sport or movement, but just in society in general. And so blending that into the education, perhaps it's not done to the degree of, Lockman's, the anterior drawer test, these things. It's not built into the formal education in most places beyond. Maybe we touch on it. Maybe we talk about it once, twice, maybe a semester, depending where you are. But this is an ongoing, obviously, learning. And man, well done for bringing that to the forefront.
Appreciate it.
What was the discussion like throughout the conference for you, with people who were in attendance or asking about what you're doing or how you're doing things? How did that go?
I think the conversations were mainly positive, and I think it's, once you kind of start the flow of the conversation, there's a level of comfort that comes in. It's like you're kind of peeling those onions back, those layers, and you can start to see, again, the cogs are turning as you're talking, thinking, I didn't see it like that, or I wasn't necessarily aware of that this needed to be discussed, and like you mentioned in terms of education, and there's a lot of like lecturers, course leaders in here that help run institutes across the world. So that's a big thing. And this notion of, you mentioned, the hidden curriculum, which is the things that aren't taught but should be mentioned, and you're not graded on, culture. You're not graded on those things. It's like, can you diagnose ACL? Can you do these special tests? Do you know the structure of everything, and then your anatomy and all that? And then that's what you're taught. But what we kind of think about in the research we've done is, is about this competence. Should there be a competence in, like, these things in terms of structural humility and understanding a patient's, like, all of these things regarding patients. And like, take screening, for example. So when you're doing your subjective, how much subjective are you going into, and what are those things that you might not be comfortable talking about? Like, we did a lot on, like, neurodivergence and how that can represent itself in many different ways, both surface level but also subconsciously, and then that can play a massive part in how a patient's rehab program goes, and or their involvement in sport in general. So that is something that, should that be, again, and this is the questions that we kind of pose, should that be a kind of core part of undergrad program or postgrad program? Or are they missing a trick because we're sending out graduates, we're graduating these sports therapists, these athletic trainers, and they're going into the world, and they might be the best hands-on therapists out there, but the conversations they have to get to that point aren't probably the best. Or so it's these kind of skills, call them the soft skills, or those social skills, and that can really unearth getting the necessary information to make your rehab treatment even better.
Yeah, and he posed a couple questions in there, should we? And I think the clear answer is yes.
Of course. I don't want to say yes,
right.
But it's more of because I think this is all important, but it's getting people to say, I don't want to impose my thoughts and opinions on people. It's you thinking about it to then come to your own judgment and understanding, then taking that back to wherever your kind of institute is. And that was what we came through with the discussions and the conversations I have had, is everything that we presented was, we're giving you a bit of an idea, take it back and just put it into your setting, because it's going to be a different environment. And I think that's been met with a lot of thanks and appreciation, to say, we didn't think of this, or now we can go back and talk to our staff, students, and say, have you thought of this? And hopefully, we can see that the kind of the rehab and the patient journey becomes that much more, say valued, but much more in tune with, like the stuff that's away from the practical element of our industry.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think a big piece of this, we come in maybe not knowing what we're going to walk into in a conference like this, in a World Congress with international leaders, and this is probably an element, as we've identified it, that we thought about it. Really, it's one of those, like you said, hidden curriculums, but should be forefront, right? It's human, it's culture, it's societal. We have to have awareness, obviously, in our space, and if nothing else, awareness is the first part in having expertise like yourself. Bringing that to the forefront is a starting point, if nothing else. And so, if we don't start, we never start. So here we are, and again, full kudos, for stepping into that and bringing that forward. It's highly valuable, and it does enhance everybody and every place's potential capability to make everything better. So a big task.
100%.
It has been a couple of days here, jam-packed with a lot of things.
Yes.
I'd love to have you on longer in the future. We can do this remotely.
Yeah.
No, a little bit deeper, more just to capture from here.
Definitely.
Takeaways from the conference, were you able to get in and see other people? Obviously, meeting a lot of people is a takeaway, but from your end, professionally and or personally, takeaways from World Congress 13?
I think, the main one is that we're all trying to achieve the same thing. I think that was from every workshop or talk I went to, was we're all trying to enhance healthcare in some way, make the patient journey much better. The key words that kept coming up were patient-centered, patient-focused, however you want to word it. It was, we're here for the patient. And I think one of the big things that kind of came full circle was that if we don't improve us as practitioners, then we can't give the best to our patients. So it kind of kept coming in that cycle of how do we improve us as professionals, but also the new kind of students, graduates that are coming through to then enhance patient care. So that was one of the main things I took from it as well. But also, the idea that we don't know everything. I think that's one of the big things, and it's this whole thing of humility, that what I might be doing in London, I can learn from ATs in Mexico, I can learn from ATs in Canada, in the US, or wherever, and vice versa. So that's the beauty of something like this, where we can all just in a space of 3-4 days share so much. And I liked the idea of the short kind of 20-minute sessions, where you're getting snippets of a lot, and then you can choose to progress and discuss a bit further with the speakers, or like you say, the experts in that field, and go deeper. And I think that was nice as well. It really opened your eye and gave me a breadth of understanding. And then I can take that and find out the depth a bit more for myself. So definitely, it was a lot full on, but no, definitely worthwhile.
Yeah, great. Tyrone Cassius joining us. I hope to have you on again for a longer, deeper dive into this.
Whenever.
There's some education here to be had for all of us. We're going to wrap up. Let's get to the social. Going to have you back on, I think, with your presenting partner.
Yes,
we'll do that again in another session here coming up for our listeners. Again, really appreciate your time and for all of your work, man. It's I didn't have the opportunity to sit in on it. I'd love to dive in a little bit deeper. You're doing the work that nobody else is doing right now. At least it's been on here. So truly appreciate it for the profession, for WFAP, for the World Congress, for, of course, global, structural humility.
Definitely
redefine it.
That's the plan. No, thanks, James. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks again for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this community. Check us out online, firststartherapy.com. That's FIRSTAR therapy.com. Or email us with feedback, consult@firststartherapy.com. CONSULT@firststartherapy.com. On Instagram @firststar.therapy, and our podcast host @letschat.at. This is First Star Let's Chat, an athletic therapy podcast.